Hello, I'm Eric Hunter, and welcome back to Behind the Curtain. Here we showcase student productions, whether it be a short film for class, a personal project, or even a feature film. Today we'll be sitting down with Ibrahim Odugbemi to discuss their personal video story, Dreaming Through Sounds, the inspiring life of Jian Lai. But first, let's take a look, and then after, we'll sit down with the director to discuss what inspired them to capture such an inspiring story.
I think my life is revolving around things relating to music. If I'm not studying or if I'm not practicing, I enjoy listening to music, going with friends to a concert, or just talking about music with people. I enjoy reading, like literature. I enjoy watching movies, listening to the music in the film. I also enjoy chatting with friends. I've been making some friends here in Bloomington. It's been really exciting. I would say that I have a vibrant life outside of classes, and I'm very grateful that I get to have such vibrant spare time. My name is Jian Lai, but in English contexts I usually go by David. I was born and raised in China, in the south part of China, in fact, in Hangzhou city, Zhejiang province. I lost my sight at a very early age. It was actually right after birth, and I started becoming interested in music at a very young age, like 2 or 3 years old. My parents purchased a electronic keyboard for me when I was very young, and after touching the keys, I gradually was able to play the demo songs stored on the instrument. And when I was 3, I first felt the piano. It was then I was captivated by the sound of the piano, and I started piano lessons at age 4. That was in my hometown. 5 years later, when I was 9, I moved with my parents to Beijing, the capital city, to seek better piano training and more professional studying environment. And I later was enrolled in the high school attached with the Central Conservatory of Music, and later the Central Conservatory of Music itself, and I received my undergraduate degree in piano performance from there. And I moved to the US 3 years ago for my master's degree in the College Conservatory of Music at the University of Cincinnati, and I got my master's degree last year, and right now I'm just finishing my first year of doctoral coursework at IU Jacobs. So the piano has a very wide literature span. You get 400 or 500 years almost of piano music and people writing for the piano all over the world. It's definitely very difficult to say that one has, quote, mastered, unquote. I wouldn't say that myself, and I think nobody will ever, or it's very difficult to do so. I can only say that I enjoy playing the piano, and I really enjoy sharing music with people. I get a lot from the experience of interacting with the instrument, working with different pieces, different types of music, different composers, and interacting with the score in a way that is very enriching. And I think I'm telling a story from the perspective of the composer who wrote down this music, and I want to tell it well. In addition to studying at IU Jacobs, I'm also an associate instructor of piano, and I teach group piano classes and private students. So far, I have really enjoyed learning about teaching as well as contributing to the musical life of these students. To me, part of teaching is getting to know my students and treating them in a friendly manner and also instructing them in a constructive way. Like my dream job slash experience is to do something that combines teaching and performance. I love being an instructor, and I also love playing on stage. The teaching passion I discovered during my time here, and performing has always been the love of my life. So I hope I get to experience both on a daily basis, or just getting to do the things I enjoy. That is the best thing about learning the piano, because this is something that I really enjoy doing. So as long as I can continue doing what I like and what I enjoy, I'm happy about it.
Welcome back. I'm here with Ibrahim. We're going to talk about his film, Dreaming Through Sounds, The Inspiring Life of David Lai. So, Ibrahim, I'm curious, was this just a personal project, or was this for some sort of class?
It was for a class.
Okay.
It was my final project in the class. M500, video field and production. Yeah.
Okay.
It was taught by Professor James Krause.
Did you like that class?
Yeah, of course, I love it.
Yeah? Was that your favorite project you did in that class?
The professor called it my best in the class. So I think it's my favorite project for the class, and of course that was why I submitted it for this.
Okay. So is this class basically like just capturing nonfiction video stories, or do you get to do any sort of like fiction narrative work?
We got to do that, but it was in group. Yeah. So I was in a group of 3, and yeah, we came up with a one character nonfiction.
Okay.
And of course, for that, we were allowed to look for an actor. So we were able to get someone to play the role. Yeah, so we were just there doing the behind the camera work.
Yeah, okay. Well, for this project specifically, I think David Lai was a very interesting subject that you could have captured, and it was really cool to see how he came to learn piano even with his inability to see, which is just, it's awesome. I could never even play the piano having the ability to see things. So I'm curious, what was the process leading up to finding David?
David, yeah. You know, first for the final project, I wanted something about an IU student who was up to something, maybe a project or something. So I went on the school website. You know, that was where I read a piece about David Lai posted by the School of Music. So I reached out to the School of Music, and I was connected to him. Yeah.
Wonderful. So you're a graduate student on the IU campus, and what are you specializing in? What are you studying?
Cinema and media studies.
Okay. And since this film was more of like a nonfiction photojournalism little mini doc, would you say you're more interested in documentary filmmaking, or like more narrative fiction work?
I think I'm more interested in documentary filmmaking. Of course, I have plans for non-fiction, for fictions, but I so much love non-fiction, and that is because, yeah, my background is not in media. You know, for my first and second degrees from my home country, Nigeria, it was literature, English and literature. Right. But my projects were on both at the undergraduate and master's level were on biography, you know, and autobiography. So I wanted to translate biography and autobiography into another media form. So that was when, you know, I started to have interest in documentary. And of course, when I was an undergraduate, I did some field work that requires documentation, you know, visual, audiovisual documentation, you know. So all this inspired me, you know, to to develop, to lean towards documentary production.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell from just watching this film that you have a knack for documentary filmmaking. It was. I really enjoyed it. It was a nice change of pace from all the news and nonfiction stuff you see on TV now. That's just kind of depressing. This was a nice, feel-good story. I really enjoyed it. It was akin to there was this guy on the news. I think CBS. He used to make like feel-good stories. And his name was Boyd Hubbard. They named him that for some reason, and he did this story about this little kid who had like a toy lawnmower, and then he found like an old man with a real lawnmower, and they became like good friends.
Oh.
And that was a very good feel-good story. I put this akin to that just because it made me feel good. It was nice to see that David Lai had came to enjoy the piano and grow such an impressive skill on tinkling the ivories, which was very cool to see. So, do you still keep in contact with David? Did a new friendship spawn from this? Anything like that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I'm still in touch with him, and in fact, we were planning to develop this into something bigger. You know, in terms of length, basically. Yeah. So I'm still in touch with him. He's a good friend. David Lai is someone you want to be a friend to. You know, he's just so extraordinary. Let me put it that way. I learned a lot from him, from communicating with him and all that. He's really extraordinary. You know, he's just so full of energy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm still much in touch with him.
That's awesome. I think I would love to see a longer version of this, see more into the life of David. I think that would be something that would be really cool to see. In watching this, I heard like piano score in the background. Is that David playing?
Of course, and of course I credited that at the end of the documentary.
Okay.
You know, music by David Lai.
I should have paid better attention. I thought that was a very cool just way to score it, because you put David's music in there. I think that's very fitting.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you say that David is he's a very good friend. He's extraordinary. A beautiful friendship spawned from this project.
Yeah.
And is there, in the way that he sort of beat the odds in being able to play the piano, even though he can't see, does that inspire you as an aspiring filmmaker to sort of try to break out into the industry? That's a very difficult industry to break out into.
Yes, that really inspired me. You know, if David refused to give up, you know, in spite of all the others, you know, so there was no point for me to give up in anything. Right. Yeah, it really inspired me. Yes.
That's awesome. That's just really cool. It was a really good, feel-good story. I really enjoyed watching it. And yeah, you got anything in the works? Any up-and-coming projects?
Yes, I'm working on a mini project right now. It's just more of animation. Yeah, I'm going to post it soon. Yeah, on my YouTube channel. It's How Big Is Africa? You know, just trying to describe the size of Africa.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So I'm working on that, and it should be done very soon. And then now I have a list of topics already that I want to work on, and I already have materials for some, and I'm thinking of making some into bigger projects. You know. So I just have everything before me, trying to figure out what best to do with them. But then the small one I'm working on right now, the animation, will be on my YouTube channel soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll keep an eye out for that. That's really cool. It's interesting to hear that you plan on doing a documentary all-encompassing the African continent, because it's such a big continent. There's so many cultures there, and that'd be something that would be really cool to see. And that reminded me that just recently, the Nigerian filmmaking scene, Nollywood, I guess, surpassed Bollywood as the second largest outputter of movies, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll keep a close look on your YouTube channel, and if we see something else that we want to talk about, we'll have you on the show again.
Of course, that
Awesome.
will be fine.
Wonderful. So thanks so much, Ibrahim, for
Thank you
coming on
so
the
much.
show. I
It's my
appreciate it.
pleasure.
It's been a
Yeah,
pleasure
thank you.
talking to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
As always, if you, a friend, or even just someone you know who has a camera and likes to point it at stuff and wants to be on our show with their own student submission, you can refer to the link on the screen now, or if you're more into copy and pasting, you can find it down in the description below too. Until next time, I'm Eric Hunter, and this has been Behind the Curtain.